New project. Got the shop all done, which is the video you already saw. It is September. Starting to cool down and kind of got me freaked out that I need to get something in place to heat this shop. I have a propane burner, but I want to get something a little more permanent. So I'm going to build a wooden stove. I'm not going to build a wooden stove. I'm going to build a wood burning stove. Now I had started this project, this tank, for another project. I cut the end off and I was going to use that, and I was going to do the same thing to this other end, and then I realized this is the perfect stove. Perfect. It's a little bigger than I thought I was going to need, and then I started drawing it out and getting all the heat exchanger tubes in. Realized that this is almost too small for that part anyway. It is big though, 30 inches in diameter, 4 feet tall. This is going to be it. This is going to be the burner. So I have some old, read that, clean out, cast iron furnace parts, some doors and whatnot that I'm going to use on this and mount them to that tank. I wish this radius was the same as the tank, but this is about 22 inches. Tank's 30, so I got to build an adapter. So let's get to it. No more talkie. Sneak peek. Got this little jig. because these are going to be the heat exchanger pipes. I need 8 exactly the same through the middle, and then they'll be different at each end depending on where the outlet is. But I made a jig so that technically it should be pretty easy. The elbows, every stick will have an elbow welded onto it, and it should hold them perfect spacing. Alright, had technical difficulty, actually operator error, forgot to hit record. I welded these elbows on part way. Welds are horrible, just so you know. But the gauge, the jig works perfect because look at that. I don't have to do anything, just weld it up. Same thing's going to happen on the top. I'll have another pipe up here, 2 elbows here, weld it up. Like a trombone. Burn my face. Look at that business. That business took me a while. My beard's probably longer than the last clip. Those are done. Now we got to get them all installed back on the carousel and get our holes cut in the tank so we can get the outlet port for these and the inlet port all set up, and proceed. Look at that, look at that. I got all of that mess. And that mess. So not all these things are parallel, which is going to be a problem because the stack pipes have to hook onto these. So I gotta work that out if I have to tweak some of these. Most of them are alright, but this one's bad. Maybe that one. Hopefully I can tweak them without having to cut the pipe and bend it. But lordy, it's done. This part. Arguably the hard part. Hopefully the rest is easier. I would show you a close-up of the welds, but I don't need that kind of heat. I'll tell you that much. I just got through it. 16 gauge elbows, 18 gauge pipe, burning through everywhere. But I got it done. I'd like to introduce you to this tool. If you've never seen one of these or you don't have one, absolutely amazing, especially if you're cutting sheet metal. Well, only if you're cutting sheet metal. 18 gauge cuts through it like butter. Probably does 16. But this thing right here is amazing. It's a Makita. I don't know what it's called. Makita shear, power shear or something. Way better than those scissor type shears. I'll show you. First go. That end's pretty close, but we're way too early to even think it's anything close. Not too bad for first run though. I got 4 of these. 2, 3, 4. They're ugly, and they're a lot bigger than they need to be, which made it a lot harder to get them into shape. The edges are real bad. Once I trim it off, I should get into the good stuff. Got these 2 fit up. I got to trim one, then we're going to weld it. Got them all tacked, but I got them all tacked and it was smooth sailing until I got to the last joint, which was this joint. I got a bunch of extra material here. I had to really clamp it down tight to get it in, and then this ended up being too short because all these tacks broke. Got her strapped down. I'm not disappointed in the fit up. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good, and the diameter's pretty good. I just gotta weld it on. Funny thing about this pipe, it's kind of come full circle. I ran a project back in 2011 when we installed these in a dog food facility. And about 6-7 years ago, a long time ago, they closed the facility down. 6-7 years ago, they remodeled it and tore all that stuff out. I was able to get it. So it's kind of weird that I watched this go get installed brand new. Now it's in my shop getting ready to be built into my own project. Strange. On this episode of Dirty Jobs, I was really hoping I wouldn't have to do this, but the liner's a little tight, so I gotta grind down that rib. What a mess. Hopefully that's enough. All right, if I was a betting man, I would have lost that bet. It is pretty tight, but it's in there. Everything's good. It's there. Let's look at this thing. Outlet, hitting nice. Air inlet and gas outlet, hitting nice. Doors, hard to see, but you got the liner. There'll be insulation in this gap, and you got the skin and all the tubes in there. I got a little play, got the shelf, the floor hits right up to the face just like it should. I tell you what, I'm a little dirty. Yowza. It goes together. The trick is going to be getting this thing back apart. I might just leave the liner on, pull the main skin off, because I think I could pull the liner off by hand. Pulling them off together is pretty tough. Cleanest thing I own for the moment. Ceramic fiber, KO wool as it's called, KAOWOOL if you want to get some. Depends on the type, but it's 2,000 to 2,300 degrees rating, which should be more than enough for this. This is what I'm putting between the liner and the main skin. It says to wear a mask when you're using this, so I guess I better do that. There it is. I had an idea. Plastic bags. Should be a little smoother, a little easier to tuck up under there. Hopefully preserve the foam, and then when the fiberglass, not fiberglass, whatever that crap is. Once I get that thing down, I can just pull those bags out, and it'll leave it pushed against the sides. Should be good. Boy, that ain't good. I'd say it's there. We're really close. So we're way up here, 8 foot. I got my tubes. Let me get one of these out here. Got my tubes for the stack here that go all the way down into the tops of those tubes that were sticking out. Got couplings down there. They're all different heights, so I have to weld this up top up here. This is the hard part. Got them all cut to height. Got it propped up because I'm going to have gaskets in there, so I want this whole thing to be compressed. So now we're going to get them tacked. Look at how wavy that is. Warped bad. We're gonna shrink it up. Pretty well done. Got some little things. The pin broke, so I gotta put the plate back on there. Gotta put the gaskets in the doors. Finish the stack. I have some coating issues. The clear coat that I used, you can't touch it or it gets all foggy. So I gotta work that out. And if I don't get it worked out, it's fine. The door works beautifully. Throw the log in. It's geared 16:1, so the door can't come open. I'd have to really torque on it for a while. You put a little whammy on it and it keeps it closed. The fan, I got the fan on the other side that feeds the makeup air into the chamber. I've got 2 outlets, one below the wood floor and one above it. So I should be able to stoke the fire real nice. The base was way overkill. I thought it was going to take forever, but I have about 2.5 hours in it. Once I got the sizes figured out, it's just a repetitious. Cut it out. Got the fan hooked up temporarily the other day to run some air through it, and I get lots of flow out of the pipe, which is good. I was worried about that. So hopefully I get good heat transfer into the duct. I've got coating issues everywhere. All this stuff scratches really easy. It's a shop stove. I'm not that worried about it. But trying to get it to look good, at least for a minute. Well, it's installed. Got our fan box at the elbow that goes up and out to stack. Our fan right there. T. We have fresh air inlet from outside, or take it in from the shop. Just flip the valves, and the duct going into the wall, which comes out that hole right there and two other holes. Got a little bit of a draw problem. You just saw in that clip, I think, that there was a hole in the upper floor. I just cut that. Still having draw issues. But I just did it, so we'll see if it works. So far, it does pretty good as far as heat in the shop goes. I still have to supplement with the other heater, but I'm not disappointed in the heat. It's the smoke issue. And after a while, I start smelling smoke in here. I don't know if I have a leak somewhere. Gasket, something's expanding and letting smoke get siphoned into the duct. I got to work that out. There you go. Here you go. Look at this. I don't have the stack fan running right now, and it just billows out. So I got to work on that. And I just fired it up. This is warm, not hot. The stack has been cool to the touch, so I'm just not getting the heat up there, which might mean that my exchanger system is pretty efficient. Now that I have that hole and it's a straight shot, I'm really surprised it's not any better, but it's not. So I got the linkage disconnected to the door because I can't afford to have that door open long enough to spin that wheel, and I just open it real quick, throw a log in, and be done. I didn't really show the detail on this. Kind of hard to see now, but got two sprockets here. Wheel off of a gate valve. And I built this linkage, painted it copper. It's not really copper. That all works pretty good. And then I didn't talk about this either, but I polished this. It's all dusty and covered now, but took forever, but I polished the dome and I polished those two strips. Probably a waste of time, but it looks kind of cool. Looked really cool when it was done, first done. But that's that. On to the next project. This one's, I'm gonna end up tearing it apart this summer once I don't need it anymore, and see if I can rectify the situation. Thanks for watching. Next video is coming out soon. I've got several others in the pipeline coming up, so stick around. They're going to be good.